I was the sole bidder on an ancient carrier, what I found sealed inside astonished the entire Galax. Ships from lost civilizations, weapons older than any known star system, and devices that could alter the course of entire planets were all up for bid. The hall itself floated above a dark nebula in the Andromeda expanse, shielded from prying eyes by layers of technology no human had ever built. Aliens of every imaginable shape and color drifted through the hall, each studying the relics with a mixture of fear and curiosity. Ilias was the only human there, and he had to admit he felt both out of place and strangely at home. Humans had always been curious, stubborn, and daring, traits that often annoyed aliens but also made them unpredictable. And in this hall, unpredictability could win you more than wealth. It could win you power. The auctioneer, a massive crystalline entity that seemed to hum with light, floated above the main platform. Its voice resonated in the minds of everyone present, vibrating like 1,000 chimes at once. "Next item," it said, its tone carrying both awe and warning. "An artifact long thought lost, the carrier of the ancients. Bid carefully, for this ship has seen civilizations rise and fall." Murmurs filled the hall. Many of the alien attendees shivered or whispered to one another. Ilias, however, felt his pulse quicken. An ancient carrier, a ship powerful enough to roam the galaxy for millennia untouched by time, was within reach. And for reasons he couldn't explain, he felt drawn to it as if the ship itself had called him. The carrier appeared on the platform, suspended in a field of pale blue energy. Its size was staggering, longer than 10 modern warships, sleek yet jagged, as if it had grown naturally rather than being built. Strange symbols covered its hull, glowing faintly, shifting like they were alive. A few of the alien species stepped back, eyes wide, clearly recognizing the marks. Others were silent, their instruments buzzing as they tried and failed to scan it. The auctioneer's voice returned, echoing in every mind. "The carrier of the ancients. History records it as a vessel of unimaginable power. Some call it a weapon, some call it a guardian. Its purpose was lost in the collapse of its creator's civilization. But beware, those who seek it for greed rarely succeed." Several aliens raised their bidding devices. Numbers flashed in the air, strange symbols for amounts no human could even begin to understand. Ilias hesitated, fingers hovering over his own bidding panel. He didn't fully know why he wanted the ship. Logic screamed caution, but curiosity, that uniquely human trait, pushed him forward. He pressed the button. The hall went silent. The auctioneer's resonance filled the room again, deeper this time. "The human Ilias Varan has made the bid." Then almost immediately the other bidders stopped. Their devices went dark, their hands falling to their sides. Whispers spread like wildfire. Ilias watched, confused. The crystalline auctioneer tilted slightly, almost as if examining him. "The human is the sole bidder. The carrier of the ancients is yours." Gasps echoed across the hall. Many species muttered to one another. The carrier had never had a sole bidder in centuries. It had always been fought over, sometimes nearly sparking wars. And yet here was a human alone. Ilias tried to comprehend it. He had no idea if this was luck, fate, or some kind of cosmic joke. Still, the deed was done. The carrier was his. And as the energy field around the ship dissipated, revealing its full form, Ilias felt a thrill unlike anything he had ever experienced. The journey to claim it wasn't simple. The carrier had been stationed in a remote sector of space, protected by traps and automated defenses meant to keep it safe from the unworthy. Ilias had expected that. He also expected that no human had ever boarded it before. That was part of what made this moment so special. As his small craft approached the carrier, Ilias saw the hull in more detail. The surface shimmered with an odd, almost organic light. Lines of glowing runes ran along it like veins, pulsing rhythmically. Sensors aboard his ship went wild trying to make sense of the readings. He realized quickly that no instrument in human history could fully measure what this ship was. Docking was not easy. The carrier seemed to sense him, adjusting its docking port subtly, almost guiding him in. Ilias felt a shiver run down his spine. It was as if the ship was alive, waiting for him. Stepping into the airlock, he was hit with the faint smell of ozone and something else, something old, metallic, and alive. The interior of the carrier was dark, lit by glowing panels that pulsed gently. The corridors were impossibly wide, lined with strange glyphs that moved subtly when he looked away. His footsteps echoed in a way that suggested both vast emptiness and living presence. He activated his translator device, but the glyphs did not respond to it. It became clear that this was a language not meant for understanding, but for sensing, for feeling. Then he reached the bridge. It was massive, larger than any he had ever seen. The consoles were silent, yet they hummed with energy. Holographic projections floated above them, showing star systems he did not recognize. Some seemed alive, with nodes of light moving through them as if they were sentient. And then, unexpectedly, the carrier reacted. A low hum began, deep and resonant, vibrating through Elia's chest. Lights along the walls brightened in sequence. Symbols on the floor glowed, forming patterns he did not understand, but somehow felt compelled to follow. He reached out to a console, and as his hand touched it, images flashed in his mind, memories not his own. Civilizations rising and falling, ships moving faster than thought, worlds being changed in ways he couldn't comprehend. Then a single phrase resonated in him, not in words but as a feeling. "You are ready." Elias staggered back. He wasn't sure if the ship had spoken to him or if his mind was breaking under the weight of what he had seen. One thing was certain, this ship was not a machine in the way humans understood machines. It was intelligent, aware, and it had waited, possibly for centuries, for someone like him. His communicator beeped. A distant voice, human but trembling, came through. "Elias, are you okay?" "Everyone in the auction is watching. What's happening?" Elias took a deep breath. I think the ship knows I'm here," he said. His voice trembled, but there was excitement beneath it. "And I think it wants me to do something." For hours he explored. He discovered chambers filled with dormant machinery, storage rooms containing strange objects that defied description, and corridors that seemed to shift subtly, as if the ship itself moved around him. Every step made him more certain of one truth. The carrier of the ancients was not just a relic. It was a key to knowledge, power, and perhaps the future of humanity. And somewhere deep inside, Elias knew this. The galaxy would never be the same once humans learned what was sealed within this ship. As he finally rested on the bridge, gazing at the stars beyond the massive viewport, he allowed himself a small smile. He didn't know exactly what he would find inside the carrier, but he knew one thing. He had taken the first step into a story that would astonish the entire galaxy. And for the first time in his life, Elias felt truly alive. Elias Varen had barely slept since boarding the carrier of the ancients. The ship seemed alive in ways he could not explain. Hallways that had appeared empty shifted slightly when he returned to them, doors opened before he reached them, and the soft pulsing of lights felt like a heartbeat beneath his feet. It was both thrilling and unnerving, but Elias had come too far to turn back now. On the bridge, he examined the controls again. Panels of alien design glowed with symbols that shifted as he looked at them. When he touched one, a wave of light spread across the console, projecting a hologram into the room. Stars, planets, and strange networks of light spun in the air, more complex than any map Elias had ever seen. The hologram spoke, not in words but in images. Elias saw planets changing over centuries, civilizations rising from primitive life to complex societies, then collapsing into ruin. At first he panicked, unsure if his mind could comprehend such knowledge. But slowly a pattern emerged. The carrier was showing him the history of the galaxy, but only of worlds where the technology of the ancients had touched life. A voice finally spoke. It was inside his mind, calm, firm, and layered with authority. "Elias Varen, you are the chosen caretaker. The seed must be guided. Are you prepared?" Elias froze. He looked around the bridge, half expecting someone else to be there. There was no one. Just him, the carrier, and the hum of machinery alive with power. Chosen caretaker, seed. His mind raced. What did this ship want from him? He took a deep breath and nodded almost unconsciously. "I don't know what that means, but I'll try," he thought. The carrier responded with a gentle pulse, lights shifting along its corridors like a ripple through water. A hidden panel slid open on the floor of the bridge, revealing a staircase spiraling deep into the ship. Elias felt an instinctive pull, as if the carrier itself was calling him down. At the bottom, he entered a chamber unlike anything he had ever imagined. The walls were crystalline, glowing softly, and the floor hummed with energy. In the center of the room was a sphere hovering a few feet above the ground. It radiated warmth and light, its surface shifting like liquid metal. Elias instinctively knew this was what the ship had meant by the seed. He stepped closer. symbols projected from the sphere, wrapping around him like a cocoon. He could feel knowledge flowing into his mind, concepts too complex to explain, images of civilizations and life forms, instructions for things humanity had never imagined. It was overwhelming. "It can accelerate evolution," the voice in his mind said. "Life intelligence, technology, guided carefully, it can raise worlds. Misused, it destroys." Elias staggered back. The responsibility was unimaginable. One wrong choice and he could wipe out entire civilizations. Yet the potential was breathtaking. He thought of Earth, of the challenges humans had faced and overcome, and a sense of purpose grew inside him. Perhaps humanity was ready for something greater than he had ever imagined. Before he could ponder further, an alarm echoed through the ship. It was not mechanical, it felt alive. The carrier was alerting him to something. On the bridge, panels lit up with incoming signals. Ships, alien vessels of multiple species, were converging on his position. News of the auction and his sole bidding had spread faster than he expected. The galaxy wanted to see what a human would do with the carrier of the ancients. Elias swallowed hard. He had no idea how to communicate with these advanced ships, let alone defend himself. But he had something they didn't, the carrier itself. He returned to the bridge controls and tentatively touched a panel. The ship reacted immediately. Engines, long silent, roared to life. Massive shields shimmered into place, deflecting scans and energy beams from outside. Weapon systems activated, though Elias had no idea how to use them. Somehow, the carrier seemed to anticipate his intent, moving in ways that made him feel as though he were guiding it with thought alone. The alien ships held their positions, observing. Elias realized that the galaxy had underestimated humans again. While many species relied entirely on technology, humans had ingenuity, unpredictability, and intuition, and the carrier seemed to respond to that. Hours passed as he explored the ship's abilities. He discovered chambers filled with dormant drones, systems that could terraform planets, and rooms where life itself could be altered. Every corner of the carrier offered tools beyond human comprehension, but the seed remained the greatest mystery. Its potential was limitless, and Elias knew he must learn to control it before the galaxy forced him to make a mistake. During this time, he also began receiving visions of the ship's creators. Tall, elegant beings of energy and light, they had spread across the galaxy eons ago. They had faced their own limits, striving to guide life without destroying it, and somewhere in their arrogance they had failed. The seed was the last remnant of their vision, a chance to continue what they had begun. Elias felt a mix of awe and fear. He wondered if humanity would succeed where they had failed. But as he observed Earth from a distant holographic projection, he felt a surge of pride. Humans had survived worse, endured more, and adapted in ways other species could not. Perhaps he was the right caretaker after all. Then, just as he was beginning to grasp the scope of his new responsibility, the carrier projected a new image, a distant system, a planet glowing with primitive life. "The first test," the voice said. "Will you guide this world or ignore it?" Elias felt the weight of the decision. He could unleash the seed and accelerate evolution here, but he didn't know the consequences. One wrong choice could create chaos. Yet doing nothing meant missing the chance to make a real difference. He took a deep breath. "I'll do it, but carefully," he thought, and touched the sphere. Light enveloped him, and suddenly he understood. The seed responded to intention. It did not act recklessly. Elias realized that it required human judgment, moral reasoning, creativity, and care. Alien civilizations, no matter how advanced, lacked the intuition necessary to use it properly. Humans, he thought with a mix of pride and relief, were uniquely capable. The first changes were subtle. Ecosystems on the distant planet shifted, small mutations appeared, and intelligence began to emerge in unexpected species. Elias monitored the changes closely, fascinated by how quickly life adapted. It was thrilling, dangerous, and beautiful all at once. Meanwhile, the alien observers outside the carrier grew restless. They did not understand what Elias was doing, and the potential threat of the seed made them nervous. A council formed in their minds, debating whether to attack or negotiate. But Elias, guided by the carrier and his own human intuition, was already several steps ahead. He had learned to move the ship silently, to cloak its energy, and to project false signals, confusing any who would try to locate him directly. As night fell over the distant planet, Elias finally allowed himself a moment to rest. The carrier hummed around him, calm and patient. He realized something profound. This ship was not just a relic. It was a teacher, a guide, and a test. And for the first time, he felt fully connected, not only to the carrier but to the potential of humanity itself. He gazed at the holographic stars beyond the bridge viewport and smiled. He knew challenges were coming. The galaxy would not watch quietly. Others would try to take the carrier, to steal the seed, or to stop him. But Elias felt ready. Humans had survived against impossible odds, and now, with the guidance of the ancients' technology, they might just rise to a level no one expected. Deep in his mind, the carrier whispered again, "Prepare, Elias Varen, the galaxy will test you, but you are ready." And for the first time, Elias understood. Being the sole bidder had been more than luck. It had been destiny. The galaxy was awakening, and so was humanity's place within it. Elias Varen had grown more confident with the carrier of the ancients, yet the calm he felt was fragile. The galaxy outside was restless. Word had spread of the human who commanded the legendary ship alone. For centuries, alien civilizations had dreamed of claiming it. Now a human held the key. From the bridge of the carrier, Elias observed fleets of alien ships approaching, their designs diverse and intimidating. Some were sleek and metallic, others organic in appearance, moving almost like living creatures. He could feel their hesitation. They didn't know what the human would do, and they feared the unknown. Elias, however, had learned a truth the galaxy often overlooked. Humans were unpredictable. He accessed the carrier's systems, attempting to understand its defensive capabilities. To his surprise, it responded to his thoughts with an almost intuitive speed. Shields enveloped the vessel, cloaking fields activated, and automated drones prepared for deployment. Elias realized that, with the carrier's guidance, he could navigate these threats. But he also knew that power without strategy could be dangerous. The first wave of alien ships reached the perimeter. Sensors scanned him, attempting to breach the carrier's cloaking. Elias watched carefully, noticing patterns in their movements. Instead of attacking directly, he guided the carrier silently, letting it shift through space, blending with cosmic dust and nebulae. The aliens became confused, their signals bouncing off phantom readings. It was a small victory, but it proved the human and the ship could work together in ways no other species had anticipated. Elias knew this was only the beginning. The carrier projected a new set of holograms, maps of nearby star systems, including civilizations on the edge of development. The seed of evolution could be deployed, but the galaxy was watching. Using it recklessly would invite war. Using it carefully could elevate life in ways no one expected. He chose a small, uninhabited planet first. The seed accelerated the growth of flora and fauna subtly, enhancing intelligence and resilience. Within weeks, ecosystems began thriving in ways that would normally take centuries. Elias watched in fascination as new life forms adapted to their environment, testing limits and creating balance. For the first time, he felt the true power of the ancients' gift. Yet as expected, the alien observers began to notice. Scouts detected anomalies, planets changing faster than natural evolution allowed. Panic spread among the fleets. Many species interpreted these changes as a threat, assuming Elias intended to dominate or destroy. They underestimated humans again. One faction, the Sorlathi, approached directly, their warships bristling with energy weapons. Elias knew they would not be easily deterred. He activated the carrier's automated defenses. Drones emerged, not to attack immediately, but to form barriers and redirect the Sorlathi's scans. The carrier's movements became almost dance-like, weaving through space, avoiding detection while demonstrating power subtly. Elias realized that humans had a skill the aliens lacked: improvisation. While their fleets relied on protocol and calculated responses, he could think freely, combining intuition and creativity. With the carrier amplifying these traits, he created strategies no other species could predict. The Sorlathi commander sent a message, transmitted directly into Elias, mined by the carrier's advanced systems. "Human, surrender the artifact. Your species is not worthy of such power. Hand it over or face annihilation." Elias smiled. "You misunderstand," he replied mentally. "It's not just power, it's guidance, and humans understand guidance better than destruction." The Sorlathi hesitated, uncertain how to respond to such a statement. Elias used the moment to maneuver the carrier toward a nearby nebula, hiding the ship from sensors and gaining time. He realized diplomacy would not work with all species. Some would attack, some would spy, some would wait for him to make a mistake. As he planned, Elias explored more of the carrier. He discovered chambers containing relics of the ancient civilization, artifacts capable of terraforming planets, accelerating intelligence, and even manipulating time within localized areas. Each discovery expanded the possibilities and the danger. In one chamber, he found records of civilizations destroyed by misuse of the seed. Images showed species advancing too quickly, collapsing under their own technological and social stress. Elias felt a chill. This was a reminder that even with human intuition, mistakes could be catastrophic. He vowed to act cautiously, guiding development slowly and ensuring balance. While he trained with the carrier, a small fleet of curious but less aggressive aliens approached another planet he had chosen for testing. He observed them silently, learning their tactics, anticipating their moves. When they tried to scan the planet, the carrier subtly masked the changes, preventing interference. Humans, Elias thought, had a unique talent, patience, and observation. The galaxy rarely valued these traits, but they were crucial now. Hours later, the Sorlathi launched a direct attack. Their fleet fired energy beams at the carrier, hoping to disable it. Elias activated the ship's defenses fully. Shields flared, deflecting the weapons. Automated drones intercepted attacks, creating mirrored holographic duplicates to confuse targeting systems. The Sorlathi were skilled warriors, but they were unprepared for a human's improvisation combined with a living ship's intelligence. The battle lasted hours, but Elias never lost focus. He used feints, traps, and evasive maneuvers, all while keeping the carrier intact. Finally, the Sorlathi retreated, unwilling to risk further losses. Elias exhaled, knowing this was only the first confrontation. As night fell on the distant planets, Elias reflected on the situation. The galaxy had not seen a human command such power before. Many feared him, many underestimated him, and some were curious. But he also knew this was an opportunity. Humanity had survived countless challenges, and now they had a chance to rise, not as conquerors, but as custodians of life and evolution. The carrier's voice, calm and resonant, spoke again. Elias Varen, the galaxy tests all who wield the seed. You have proven your capacity for patience and strategy, but the challenges ahead will demand more. Elias nodded. He had learned quickly that strength alone was insufficient. Wisdom, judgment, and creativity were equally important. Humans, he realized, were uniquely suited to these challenges. They could adapt, improvise, and understand complexity in ways that even the most advanced alien species could not. He turned his attention back to the seed. Carefully, he guided evolution on the first planet, monitoring every change. Animals adapted intelligently to their environment, plants grew in symbiosis, and intelligence began to emerge in unexpected species. It was subtle, precise, and controlled. For the first time, Elias felt a profound connection to life itself. Yet he knew he couldn't hide forever. News of the human in possession of the carrier would spread, and eventually more aggressive forces would come. Some might try to steal the ship, others might attack to prevent the seed's influence from spreading. Elias realized that humanity's role in the galaxy was changing. Humans were no longer a minor species. They were now custodians of an ancient power, watched carefully by every intelligent life form. As he gazed through the viewport at the stars, Elias felt a mixture of pride and caution. Humans were capable of greatness, but the galaxy would not make it easy. He would have to be clever, patient, and sometimes ruthless. The survival of entire worlds, and perhaps the future of humanity itself, depended on it. The night deepened, and the carrier hummed around him, alive, protective, and patient. Elias finally allowed himself a brief rest, knowing that each decision he made shaped not only the lives of the worlds he touched, but also humanity's reputation across the stars. And somewhere deep inside, he knew the galaxy would continue to test him. But for the first time, Elias understood something profound. Humans were not just survivors, they were innovators, problem solvers, and guardians. With the carrier and the seed, humanity had the chance to rise to heights no one imagined. The galaxy was on edge, and so was humanity. But Elias felt ready. He had survived the first trials, learned the carrier's secrets, and guided the seed carefully. The challenges ahead would be greater, but so was the potential for glory. And for the first time, he smiled, not out of relief, but with the certainty that humans could meet any challenge, even those written in the stars long before they existed. Elias Varan stood on the bridge of the carrier of the ancients, staring out at the galaxy that now watched. Word of the human in command of the legendary ship had spread like wildfire. Every major civilization had taken notice. Some were curious, others fearful. A few whispered of war. But Elias had learned that power alone did not make a ruler. Wisdom, patience, and moral courage did. The seed pulsed gently at the center of the carrier, alive with potential. Elias had guided it carefully on one small planet so far, and the results were astonishing. Life forms had evolved rapidly, intelligent species had begun to develop, and ecosystems had balanced themselves in ways that even the most advanced alien scientists had never predicted. The galaxy was witnessing something unprecedented, a human using an ancient power not for conquest, but to nurture and protect. He had also learned to anticipate alien reactions. Fleets that had once threatened him now hesitated. Some tried diplomacy, others, still cautious, observed quietly from afar. Elias realized that humanity's reputation was changing. Humans were no longer minor players, they were custodians of a force that could shape the destiny of entire worlds. The carrier projected a map of nearby systems. Many were underdeveloped, fragile, or on the brink of collapse. The seed could help them, but only if used wisely. Elias took a deep breath. Each decision carried weight beyond his imagination. One misstep and a civilization could crumble. Yet every careful action could create life, intelligence, and opportunity where none existed before. He selected another small planet, remote and uninhabited. Touching the seed, he guided subtle changes. Flora grew rapidly but harmoniously, developing new ways to store energy and recycle nutrients. Animals adapted to environmental challenges, forming symbiotic relationships. Elias observed, adjusting the flow of the seed, ensuring balance. Over weeks, the planet transformed into a thriving world capable of supporting intelligent life in the future. News of these transformations reached distant systems. Alien scholars, once skeptical, were astonished. Reports flooded the galaxy of planets thriving under mysterious guidance. The carrier of the ancients became more than a legend. It became a symbol of human ingenuity and restraint, but with attention came challenges. The Sorlathi, still bitter from their previous defeat, launched another fleet, larger and more coordinated. This time, Elias did not hide. He knew he had to demonstrate humanity's potential in ways the galaxy would respect. The carrier responded to his resolve. Shields flared, cloaking fields shifted, and drones deployed to strategic positions. As the fleet approached, Elias focused on strategy. Instead of attacking directly, he used feints and illusions. Drones projected holographic duplicates of the carrier across the battlefield, confusing the enemy sensors. Energy barriers redirected beams harmlessly into space. The Sorlathi, skilled warriors, found themselves unable to predict the humans' moves. Elias realized something vital. Humans thrived under unpredictability. Alien fleets were precise, methodical, and reliant on protocol. Humans could improvise, adapt, and combine strategy with intuition. The carrier amplified these traits, allowing Elias to turn potential disaster into a demonstration of skill and restraint. Finally, the Sorlathi commander sent a message, transmitted mentally by the carrier's advanced systems. Human, you have proven your skill. But the seed, your control, is unnatural. We demand a council of all species to determine its fate. Elias considered. A council could be dangerous, but it also offered an opportunity to show the galaxy that humans were responsible, capable, and trustworthy. He responded mentally, "Very well, I will meet your council, but understand this, the seed is not a weapon, it is guidance. Used wisely, it creates life, intelligence, and hope. Misused, it destroys." The council convened on a neutral station, a massive structure orbiting a dead star. Representatives of dozens of civilizations gathered, their eyes and minds fixed on the human who commanded a legendary ship. Elias arrived aboard the carrier, the vessel floating silently above the station. Its presence was awe-inspiring. Aliens whispered among themselves. No species had ever controlled the carrier of the ancients before, let alone a human. Elias spoke, calmly and clearly. He explained the nature of the seed, its potential, and the responsibility it demanded. He recounted his careful guidance on the first two planets and the subtle evolution he had overseen. He emphasized balance, patience, and oversight. Many council members were skeptical. How can one species manage such power without bias or error? A Sorlathi delegate asked. Humans are young, reckless, and fragile. Elias smiled, replying, Perhaps, but humans survive. We adapt. We learn from mistakes. The carrier and the seed respond to intention and judgment. We are not perfect, but we are capable of understanding consequences, empathy, and responsibility. That is what makes us worthy. Hours passed. Debate was fierce. Some species argued for seizure of the seed. Others feared human misuse. But as council members reviewed the evidence, thriving planets, carefully guided evolution, and Elia's reasoning, they began to see a pattern. Humans had demonstrated not dominance, but stewardship. Finally, the head of the council, a being of pure energy named Viralis, spoke. We have observed the actions of Elias Varan. Though human, he has shown wisdom beyond many of our species. The seed is no longer just a relic, it is a promise. We entrust its guidance to humanity, under observation and with counsel available should it be needed. The galaxy will watch, but humans have earned their place as caretakers. Elias exhaled. The council's decision was unprecedented. A single human leading humanity had earned the trust of the galaxy. The carrier hummed around him, almost approvingly, as if acknowledging that Elias had passed the ultimate test. With the council's endorsement, Elias returned to the first planet he had guided. The changes were flourishing. Intelligent species were emerging, thriving in harmony with their environment. He realized that the galaxy was not just watching him, it was learning from him. Humanity's example of careful, thoughtful use of power was reshaping perceptions across light years. For the first time, Elias allowed himself to imagine a future beyond mere survival. Humans could rise to heights no one expected. They could influence the galaxy not through war, but through wisdom, care, and innovation. The carrier of the ancients had chosen well, yet Elias knew the work was only beginning. The seed could touch countless worlds, each requiring guidance, restraint, and foresight. Aliens would continue to watch, some in suspicion, others in admiration, and the galaxy itself would continue to test humanity's resolve. But he was ready. Humans had survived impossible odds before, and now they were capable of shaping the destiny of life itself. In the quiet of the carrier, Elias reflected on everything. The auction, the solitary bid, the awakening of the ship, the first trials with the seed, and the galaxy-wide council, it had all led to this moment. Humanity was no longer just a participant in the galaxy, it was a force for guidance, growth, and hope. The carrier pulsed gently, a heartbeat of ancient wisdom. Elias placed his hand on the sphere of the seed. A sense of calm flowed through him. He understood now that true power was not in domination or fear, but in responsibility, creativity, and care. That was humanity's gift. Looking through the vast viewport at countless stars, Elias spoke softly to the carrier. We will guide them. We will protect life. We will be worthy. The ship responded with a gentle, resonant hum, as if agreeing. Together, human and carrier would journey through the galaxy, not as conquerors, but as custodians of a legacy older than any living being, shaping life, intelligence, and hope wherever it was needed. And so humanity rose, not through war, not through greed, but through ingenuity, morality, and courage. The galaxy watched, astonished, as one human and one ship changed the course of history. The carrier of the ancients had found its master, and the galaxy would never be the same. Elias smiled, knowing the story was far from over. There would be challenges, tests, and trials, but humanity had proven itself, and the dawn of a new era had begun. The stars stretched endlessly before him, full of possibilities, and for the first time, Elias felt that humans were truly ready to meet the universe.